Pleasure to be here celebrating Annex Women under this wonderful TED initiative. While I can't lay claim to being a woman, obviously, I can lay claim to a connection with this neighborhood in that I teach yoga here in the Annex at a couple of locations. Kundalini Yoga, to be specific. The overriding theme of this TED initiative is invented here. Now, I can't say that Kundalini Yoga was invented here. In fact, it was invented over 5,000 years ago. It's a wonderful technology. It's outlived civilizations, languages, so it's got to have something going for it, right? What we can say is there is a connection between the Annex and the very U of T grounds that we're standing on and Kundalini Yoga. Back in the 60s, a University of Toronto professor, as you must understand it, Kundalini Yoga, up until about 45 years ago, you probably couldn't find it anywhere. It's ancient technology. You would have to search far and wide and might not still be granted access to it. It was a very secretive, guarded technology. It was a Raj yoga. It's too powerful. Not just anybody can't do this. It's, their heads will explode, you're very selective with who can teach this. Well, there was a University of Toronto professor in 1968 who met a fellow named Yogi Bhajan, who was teaching Kundalini Yoga in India, and he was quite taken with the man, and back in those hippy-dippy days of the 60s, said, this is technology that I think we could use back in Canada, back in North America. So he invited him, why don't you come and teach Kundalini Yoga? And Yogi Bhajan thought, this is a good idea. This should be shared. This should be open. So he took him up on the offer and came with his wife and kids to Toronto, and his luggage got lost, the story goes, and he, among other things, also the fellow who invited him died suddenly and the job fell through. Well, he ended up here in Canada, in Toronto, and he started teaching Kundalini Yoga. Here in Rochdale, the great counterculture college, and the hippies just ate it up. Here was something. Here, you don't need drugs. Here's something that's going to get you high. So, but I'm not going to talk about Kundalini Yoga. I'm going to talk about what's at the root of Kundalini Yoga. We don't have time. Don't get me started on Kundalini Yoga. Look it up. There's all sorts of stuff online. If you see a class, go, dive in, give it a try. But what we're going to talk about is what is at the root of Kundalini Yoga. And that's at the root of all of us, actually. And that's the breath. And I'm laying claim that this is the most important thing that we do. Supersedes food, water. We can go weeks without food, I'm told. Thankfully, I haven't had to find that out for myself. And apparently, some 5 days before we start to shrivel up, one organ at a time. But the breath, this is our most precious and most needed and most simplest and most even overlooked human function. You say, well, I don't even have to think about breathing. Thank God. I've got a mechanism. I've got a medulla that lets me sleep. I don't have to wake up every 2 minutes and draw a breath. No, I don't have to think about it. One less thing for me to do every day. But because we're on automatic pilot, if you will. We have a mechanism. It's one of the few human functions that we can do consciously and unconsciously. We can have it on automatic pilot. It's like we came out to shoot. It's like turning on the key. We drew our first tiny little beautiful breath, and that just begins a succession. In and out. Prana apana, as we call it in yoga. Prana, the very spirit of life. The very stuff of life, beyond the oxygen and the nitrogen that comes in. We all took high school biology. We know the sense that in comes oxygen, our most precious element that we require to survive. Travels through our wonderful cardiovascular system and running through and feeding every single cell in the body, nourishing it, and then delivering back through the blue blood back into the heart to be refreshed and renewed. We need that chemistry. We need that oxygen. But what I'm saying is inside of that breath, inside of that chemistry, is a soul, and that soul is prana. And prana is the thing that links through every one of us, every living thing. And it's in the breath, it's in the air. It's unseen. We can't take it into the lab and analyze it, but it's there. Cultures appreciate it. The word for breath, in so many cultures, look it up, in your culture, in your heritage, in your language, breath is life. Breath of life. But so here we are writing, too many of us, and it's a crisis actually. Because if I go out in the street and I ask the first 10 people to come, like, how do you breathe? How do you breathe? It's like, dude, what's your problem? You fill up your chest and you push it out. And I would say, fine, if you only want to use half of your lung capacity, knock yourself out. Because we have. I have occasion to do breath workshops. And one of the first bits of homework that I give people is seek out a baby in a crib, on its back, lying down asleep. Very quietly, bend in and watch baby breathe. Baby's head is here, baby's belly is here. On the inhale, up goes baby's belly. Exhale, down goes baby's belly. That is how we come out the chute. That is our God-given, if you will, way of breathing. And here we are, a culture of, oh my God. I just read a statistic that 81% of post-secondary students today are overwhelmed by what it is they have to deal with, the stress. And now this is affecting our breath. When it's affecting our breath, when we're not drawing a full breath, it's affecting our nervous system. It's affecting our sympathetic nervous system. It's the fight or flight mechanism. Whether we even know it or not, we're wondering, why am I stressed? Why do I have a headache? Why am I nervous? Why can't I concentrate? Give a thought to the fact that you're not getting enough oxygen. You're not getting enough breath. And what we need to do is breathe consciously. So what I'm going to ask you to do now, close your eyes, place a palm of a hand lightly on your belly, and I want you to use that hand as a target. And as you inhale, we're going to breathe in and out through the nose as comfortably and as slowly. You may have to release that tension in your upper chest, actually, to do this. So let your shoulders drop. Surrender to the breath. Breathe into the palm, then filling up as slowly. Be that baby again. Baby's breath. Fill up the lungs from the bottom up. Hold. Let it go, squeezing in gently that navel point on the exhale, pushing out all breath as slowly and as comfortably as you can. This is medicine. This is something, Christina, God bless her, she was doing her speech about technology, and we've got to put down the smartphone. We've got to get smart, put it down, and take a look at what's in front of us. And I was going, yeah. But what I'm also saying is take a look at what's inside of us. We are detached from ourselves. We are separated from ourselves because we are separated from our breaths. So what I'd like you to do, we don't write, eat something, drink something to sustain yourself every day. No, we know. We got to eat. We got to drink something. We need fluid. Duh. But do we write, breathe, and breathe consciously? So maybe one of those times that we decide, okay, I'm not going to check my messages this hour. Take those minutes out that you would and breathe. And breathe consciously. In comes life. Not just oxygen. And again, it might even take some training because we're all up here. We're all breathing. We're all making use of 10% of our, and we're wondering, we are strangling ourselves as a culture. So befriend your breath. Lying in bed. You say, oh, I don't have time to meditate on my breath. No. I'm not saying do it in bed. Do it on your way to work. We all, big Toronto here, big, commuting. We all commute, whether it's walking, riding the bike, stuck in a traffic jam. Breathe. Don't get upset. Breathe. It's a perfect opportunity. Take it with you on the road. You walk to work. It's a 4-part super energizing breath, it's called. You want to pick yourself up. That's the one you bring out when you're about to collapse into a snowbank. Bring that breath out. So we have, it's like we have apps for everything. So my time is running out, but all I'd like to leave you with is put that on your to-do list every day. Take every opportunity I can to breathe, to connect with myself, feel a little bit more of myself, feel a little bit more of everyone else. Combine with that sea of prana that's out there and feel a part of it. And take that great peace. So again, I will ask you to every day breathe consciously. See what happens. Thank you very much.